A significant number spend almost half their income on rent.
If you have to work like 10 to 12 hours a day, how can you buy a house and how can you raise a family?
We all remember the headlines about Greece, the debt crisis, the bailouts, the painful protests in the streets. We were told the crisis was over, that the country had recovered. But what if the crisis didn't end? What if it just changed form and is now hitting households directly? This country, which fought so hard to save its economy, is now facing a new crisis, one that's making it impossible for its own people to afford a place to live. Today, we're going to uncover how Greece's biggest success story is causing its greatest pain.
Prices of everyday goods have climbed by at least 17% over 4 years.
This month, for instance, we got a pay rise of 60 cents an hour. That's peanuts compared to the rising cost of living.
This isn't a story you'll see in a travel magazine. This is the real Greece. Let's look at the numbers. They tell a story that's hard to believe. In Greece, the minimum wage is 968 euros gross per month as of April 2025. The take-home pay for an average worker is roughly 1,000 to 1,100 euros per month. Now, let's try to find a place to live.
Many people are worried that the housing crisis is only making matters worse.
Housing prices in Greece increased by almost 11%.
House prices, both sales and rents, have increased by as much as 50% in the past 7 years.
Listings in central Athens commonly show 10 to 12 euros per square meter. For a simple 45 to 60 square meter apartment, that's roughly 450 to 720 euros a month.
A significant number spend almost half their income on rent.
Imagine spending over half of your paycheck just on rent. According to Eurostat, the official statistics agency of the EU, Greece has the worst housing situation in Europe. In 2024, a shocking 37.4% of people who rent their homes on the market spent more than 40% of their income on housing. This is a huge burden. It means less money for food, clothes, and everything else.
Greeks now have the lowest purchasing power in the European Union, along with Bulgarians.
For young people and families, this isn't just a problem, it's a dead end. Why is this happening? What made a place so beautiful become so hard to live in? It all comes down to a perfect storm of history, economics, and a new kind of challenge.
You see these other countries that have come out with bans against Airbnbs and the likes because it has driven up the cost of housing too.
There isn't just one reason for this crisis. It's a chain reaction. A shock from the outside world hit a country that wasn't ready. The first reason is a foreign demand shock. Think of it like this. Suddenly, millions of people who don't live in Greece want to buy or rent a place there. This has happened in two main ways.
After 2 years of frustration, they should have vacation.
I always wanted to come here. Actually, this has been my dream since high school.
First, tourism. Greece is more popular than ever. In 2024, the country earned a record 21.6 billion euros in travel income. This flood of cash was great for the economy, but it had a terrible side effect. Tourism contributes about 13% of Greece's GDP directly, and over 30% including all related jobs and services. Property owners realized they could make a lot more money by renting their apartments on sites like Airbnb for a few days at a time, instead of to a local family for a whole year. This immediately took thousands of apartments off the long-term market.
To access permanent residency in a country via an initial payment through so-called golden visas.
Second, foreign investment. The Greek government has a program called the Golden Visa. For a set amount of money, usually by buying property, a foreign investor can get a 5-year residence permit. In 2024, the government updated the rules, but in popular areas, you now have to spend up to 800,000 euros. These investors often bought homes with cash, and they didn't do it to live there. They bought them just to make quick money.
If a student comes here to look for a small 2-bedroom apartment, the owners will ask for 1,000 euros per month. Who can afford that?
But can Greeks afford these rents? No, they can't.
This outside money pushed prices up so fast that local people with their low wages couldn't keep up. The banks also have very strict rules for home loans. Starting in 2025, the Bank of Greece put a limit on how much you can borrow. For first-time buyers, it's now harder than ever. This created an impossible situation. Young Greeks were priced out of buying a home. And where did they all go? They were forced to rent, creating huge competition for the few apartments that were left. And with so many people fighting for so few homes, rents went up even higher. To really understand this, we have to look back to the debt crisis that hit Greece in the early 2000s and 10s.
Unemployment in Greece has hit a new record high as
last week, demonstrators battled police in downtown Athens.
The country was in deep trouble, and the government had to make huge cuts to spending. This had a terrible effect on the country's social fabric. For years, new construction almost completely stopped. The country basically stopped building new homes. On top of that, the government cut back on social programs that helped low-income families with housing.
Greek doctors are coming massively in Germany.
There are so many people like us there who have no job, 20 to 35 years old and unemployed.
The crisis also caused a massive brain drain. From 2008 to 2013, over 400,000 of Greece's smartest and most educated people left the country to find work. These weren't just random people. We're talking about doctors, engineers, IT experts, and scientists. They were the ones who could have rebuilt the country. Youth unemployment reached a shocking 60% at its peak. The country lost an entire generation of talent. The lack of new homes and the loss of young people from this time are major reasons why the current crisis is so painful. This pain is made even worse by another big problem, the country's biggest success story, tourism. But the country's success is a problem of its own. Tourism is a huge part of Greece's economy. This flood of money helped the country recover, but this success has a dark side.
So these people have very seasonal work.
And they can't afford the properties there because of all the rich tourists, and I know several of our viewers.
Many of the jobs in tourism are low-paying and seasonal. They don't provide a stable income for a family year-round. While the tourism sector booms, local people are left with low wages and high costs for everything. The constant flow of tourists has changed Greek cities.
But only 6% of owners actually live in those properties.
Airbnb everywhere, neighborhoods nowhere.
Neighborhoods in Athens that were once home to local families are now a sea of Airbnb apartments and tourist shops. Locals are being pushed out of their own communities, unable to afford the rising rents and the new higher prices for everyday things.
Greece has actually witnessed a remarkable 37% surge in property purchases by Indian investors between July and August this year.
The Golden Visa program, which was supposed to bring money into the country, has become a symbol of this unfairness. It turned Greek homes into a trading card for the world's richest people. Investors from places like China, Russia, and the Middle East saw Greece as a bargain. They bought properties, often just to make money, not to live in them. The Greek government has tried to fix this. They have raised the minimum investment amount in popular areas to a massive 800,000 euros. But for many Greeks, this change came too late. The money from these investors often leaves the country, creating a ghost economy. The homes are owned by people who never lived there, and the profits don't help the local community.
The government has been forced to take these measures because many Greeks cannot compete with foreign visitors for real estate. As elsewhere in Europe, tourism is driving rents up, and that makes it much harder for young people to move into their first home and start a family.
The housing crisis is more than just about money. It's hurting the very soul of Greece. When young people can't afford a home, they can't start a family. Greece now has one of the lowest birth rates in Europe, at just 1.3 children per woman. The country is getting older, and with so many young people unable to move out, who will pay the taxes and support the elderly? Public services are also struggling. After years of budget cuts, the healthcare system is stretched to its limit.
The emergency room was overflowing with patients who could no longer afford private doctors.
This doctor says there are just 2 nurses for the outpatient clinics serving this city of 200,000.
A third of the Greek population is no longer covered by the national healthcare system.
In 2024, 21.9% of Greeks said they couldn't get the medical care they needed, the highest rate in the EU. Even in emergency rooms, the average wait time is still over 5 hours. This has created a deep sense of anger. People feel like they are working harder than ever, but still falling behind. Many full-time workers are now considered the working poor, earning a wage that doesn't cover their basic needs. It's no surprise that protests are becoming more common. People feel abandoned, living in a country that seems to care more about tourists and foreign investors than its own citizens. This isn't just talk, it's a fact. Greece has worked incredibly hard to recover from its long economic crisis. On paper, the economy is growing and international investors are optimistic. But the most important question remains: growth for whom? When a country's success comes at the cost of its people's ability to live, can we truly call it a success? The Greek government is trying to fix this, but these are small steps against a massive problem. The wounds from the past are still too deep, and the pressure from tourism and foreign money is too strong. Greece is selling itself as a paradise to the world, but is a country where its own people can't afford to live truly a paradise? It's a question every nation must face. For whom should a city exist? For its residents or for outside investors and tourists? The answer will decide the future of Greece and could be a warning for other countries facing the same challenge.